Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Look, man, Texas has done it. Texas has done it. They have landed elite four-star prospect. All right, Brock Williams. All right, major commitment for the Texas Longhorns, man. They get a guy that can go. This past season had 44 catches, 596 yards receiving. And I believe he had about 5 to 10 touchdowns. Let me verify real quick. I was right. My bad. 11 touchdowns, right? And he's also explosive. He had a kick return for a touchdown as well, man. So what is Texas getting, right? His comparison via 247 is Max Clear, right? But basically, they're getting a guy that is really good with the yak yards after the catch, explosive, physical, big time catch radius, and a guy that can make guys miss, right? Now, obviously, going to have to clean up some things as far as blocking goes and continue to obviously help with that part of his game, right? But remember, it's been a while since Texas has had that elite tight end, right? We got to go back to Jatavian Sanders, right? When he was setting program records and he was doing the thing for the Texas Longhorns, right? So it's been a while since we've seen Texas obviously be able to have an elite tight end, right? But Texas is no stranger to having elite recruits. This is what they do. You look at last year's class, 2026. This is the things that they do, man. But he chose obviously Texas over Georgia, Ohio State. But it's a major big time commitment for them because now you're like, okay, I have a centerpiece I can build my team around, right? And then now you put into focus the other areas that you obviously want to recruit, right? So while we sit here waiting, we're talking obviously about his commitment to the Texas Longhorns, which is Brock Williams. Let's take a look at their class and how it is shaping up for Texas Longhorns in this cycle, right? Remember, recruiting is very important. And if you Texas, you want to continue to kind of obviously hit on that and continue to bring in these top prospects, right? But let's look at the commits. Let's take a look together at what Texas has done. Now, right now, Texas fans probably won't be too thrilled. They're like, okay, nah, it's only a top 16 class, as we can see right here, right? So, not the best thing in the world. Obviously, you want a better class than this if you're a Texas Longhorn fan, but you are sitting in the top 20, right? Now, the key is going to be, and he just received a prediction, was Monsoon Zales, right? Now, he's a guy for Texas that was a target, but he's been, projected or predicted to land with the Indiana Hoosiers, right? So as you put together the rest of this class, you got to hit on some more obviously prospects. Now, Brock Williams is elite. He's good, but he's a four-star caliber prospect. Easton Royals is a dude. He's pretty much locked in with Texas. We know Tennessee was in that race as well with LSU, but looks like he's pretty much locked in with the Texas Longhorns, and he's not going anywhere, right? Also have Cameron Hall, who's a pretty good edge rusher, 6'3", 235, outstanding from obviously Arlington, Texas. He can play at a high level. And Brock Williams is your third best recruit so far of this class per 247, right? So you got three guys that are in the top 100 committed for this class. So if you Texas, you're going to have to go into another state, and you're going to have to be able to pick up probably one or two more guys that are in that top probably 25 ranking in order to kind of get that five-star prospect, right? But I do like what they've done with the class, right? I like how they got Derwin Fields, another really good edge rusher from Brookhaven, Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? I like obviously Cameron Hall. You watch his tape. That guy's a different breed. That guy's a dude. You know what I'm saying? He could play at a high level, right? Very elite, very special type of a player prospect. So I really like him as well. But if you Texas, you need a couple more of those guys, right? Know about Ty Knudsen. He's committed at the quarterback spot. JT Garsari is obviously another tight end they got. So two tight ends so far for the cycle in the class. But you're going to need one of those elite players, right? The thing I think they're missing, you also have Noah Roberts, is running back. Can you land one of these elite running backs? Now we know about DJJ, which was or DGG, which is David Gabriel Georges, who's obviously it's a one-headed or two-headed race for him with Ohio State and obviously Tennessee. But if you are Texas, can you land somebody else? Can you land one of those high caliber marquee guys, right? And bring them into the class in order to get back into that top 10, right? So when we look at this 2027 cycle via 247, let's look at top players and see maybe who Texas could try to land or even flip. Because remember, guys, this is never over till it's over, right? So this is the current cycle, right? Now, I will say this. Maybe David Jacobs does change his mind, but he's a top edge rusher here in the state of Georgia, right? Plays for Western Trinity, five-star prospect. That could be a guy to continue to watch for, right? That was an early commitment to Ohio State. Not saying he's not locked in, but that could be a guy to continue to watch to see what happens with him, right? Mark Matthews, obviously, that's a two-headed race with Texas A&M and obviously Miami, unless anything unforeseen happens. John Meredith is obviously an outstanding prospect. Can Texas potentially land him a top cornerback in the nation, number one cornerback in the nation, top 5 player overall? He would be big if you Texas. I know, I will say it's a rivalry, obviously, with Texas Tech. But if you Texas, I got to be thinking about, okay, can we land a Jalen Brewster? Right now, at one point, he was the number 1 overall player. Obviously, that's changed. He's number 6, but he's still a top prospect. He's in the state of Texas. How much will you pursue him? Is he even in the race is the biggest question. That's going to be a big one right there for Longhorn, see if they can flip him. But with Texas Tech and how they're doing things, how they're locking in commitments, how they're shutting down kids' recruitments, that is going to obviously be crucial. Now, KJ Green's another outstanding edge rusher here in the state of Georgia. He's continued to move up, number 8 overall prospect, 5-star caliber prospect. He's interesting. It feels like things are changing. Like his recruitment was centered around Alabama, South Carolina in the early parts. It feels like now it's kind of getting more centered towards around kind of Oregon. You obviously throw in Alabama still in that race, maybe Miami, right? Those are kind of the teams that are standing out to him. So that one, if you're Texas, I don't know, you have to recruit that one harder, but that dude can go, that dude can play. We talked about the prediction with Montreal Sells, obviously, to Indiana, and that's likely going to be. But as we see, like Dante Wright, he was committed to Georgia. He ends up flipping to Miami, right? So if you Texas, you know you have those capabilities. You know that you can flip a guy easily and bring him obviously into the program, right? DGG, I don't know. That's going to be probably tough to sway him from Ohio State or Tennessee, in my humble opinion. So that one will obviously be tough. Dakota Grant, that's probably going to be Michigan, right? Does things change there? Is he heavy on the radar? I don't feel like he's heavy on Texas radar. I feel like if they're going to get another guy, it's probably going to be Montreal Sales, or they may try to flip a guy, right? So that one to me seems a little bit far-fetched, right? So if you are obviously Texas, right? I think that's your answer. See if you can get a recruitment of a DJ Jacobs, right? See if you can get John Meredith. That'll be big for your class. Jalen Brewster, you know what I'm saying? He would be obviously another outstanding one. And keep the pedal to the metal with Montreal Sells. Even though he's predicted to go to Indiana, that's still a relationship you can continue to nurture and continue to do if you are the Longhorns. But we'll see. It's never over till it's over. I would tell, obviously, you know, Texas fans, like, don't feel so bad. Like, it is really just it's commitment season. We got OVs coming up. I know Texas is going to try to obviously get some guys, but landing Brock Williams is obviously very, very important to this class. But now you're gonna have to focus on landing more of those top end recruits if you are the Texas Longhorns, right? Give me like 1 or 2 more in that top 25 in order to kind of take my team to that next stage, that next level, right? But Texas is off to a good start, top 16, nearly about 10 recruits. But now you're gonna have to really focus on that top 30. You know what I'm saying? If you're Texas, if you want to kind of bring in that top 10 class, in my opinion, you don't need a whole bunch. About 1 or 2 guys in that top 10 or in that top 30, and I think Texas will be fine in landing a top 10 recruiting class. But that's my thoughts. Brock Williams, obviously outstanding prospect. And I think, he's going to be obviously special with Texas. They're going to need another guy. Like, obviously, Archer probably going out there this year. It'll probably be either Dia Bell, KJ Lacey. They're going to need a guy at the tight end spot that can kind of help, especially with some of these dynamic receivers they're going to have. That's going to get more coverage. That short to intermediate part of the field is very important in college football. And if you have a guy that you get it to and he is dangerous with the ball in his hands, that's different. And that is what Brock Williams is. So I think it's a good pickup for Texas. We'll see what else they got, obviously, in the works. And they're probably going to flip about 1 or 2 guys anyway. That's my thoughts. Quick, obviously, show. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what other content you guys want to see. Until then, peace.